Call the meeting to order at 5:30. And do we have any adjustments to our agenda?
No.
No. Okay, good. Then we will move right to approval of minutes for March 20th.
I move that we approve the minutes for March 20th.
I second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of March 20th as presented. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Good, thank you. Public comment on items not on the agenda. Does anybody have a public comment about anything that's not on the agenda?
So Doug Grandt was supposed to be here, so he may come in later.
But he's not on. To talk about the fuel, talk about something different.
Yeah.
And Karen, you put us on the agenda.
Yes.
Yes, we were on the agenda.
Okay, so then we will move on to select board items. And our first item for discussion and action is community award presentation. And we,
Betsy is coming.
she is? Okay, so we could put that off for a moment. Sounds good. So next on our agenda would be appointment of officials for committees and boards. And we all received our list of all of the current appointees who need a renewal and or new appointees. We have several vacancies, particularly on the Energy Committee. And also Conservation Commission looks a little slim still, but we
are.
did we appoint somebody not too long ago to
You
Conservation?
did, but that was to the Wilson wetlands.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Our stuff.
Okay, yeah. Recreation Board, is Michelle Power still doing it? She doesn't have a kid there anymore, do you know? I wasn't sure what,
She's not.
because she wasn't involved in the ski program.
I'm fairly certain.
So, yeah, I don't think she is either. So, and also, I think Richard Burkefield is actually Richard Burkefeld, but I could be wrong.
It's Brook.
It is Field?
I think so.
I thought it was Feld, but maybe, yeah.
So I sent letters
Either
to
way.
everybody asking if they didn't want to continue to let me know by
And you
today.
didn't get,
I got a lot of phone calls from people saying they wanted to, but there was a lot of phone calls I didn't get.
okay, sounds good.
Either.
So we should double check some of these, but
It's
I-
Brookfield.
it is?
Mhm.
Okay. Good.
Josh,
Yes?
I used to be the town service officer.
Mhm.
I didn't notice it listed in the select board, in the town report, and I don't remember getting a letter, and I'm wondering if that's still a thing. Not like I ever did anything as a town service officer, but I was it for about 12 years. I'm fine if it's not a job anymore.
We did do away with some, and that may be one of them that we did do
Okay.
away with. So
I'm so glad.
we're working on trying to figure out whether there are others that we, because that's the one that Louise Backler talked to us about, I think.
That was the
wasn't it?
grand juror,
Oh, that's right.
yes. And we did away with that one as well.
Did Carl know?
Well-
Reach out to your office?
He emailed me,
Yeah, he emailed us.
He's on the
Tax exempt.
committee
yeah,
and
yeah.
wondering whether they have a current charge.
Yeah.
So
He
we
asked
should,
that before, but
well, we haven't done anything with them for a while. So, I mean, that, we can save all this for.
The next
Maybe
meeting?
mid-next meeting, we can have discussion
because,
of
yeah, town hall
charges and missions and so on
committee
and so
is
forth.
gonna be brought up. So,
Town hall committee?
yeah,
Did we have one of those before?
yes,
Did
yes,
we in the past?
yes.
Was that when the renovations were?
Yes, yeah, the renovation.
Oh, going all the way
Yes.
to back? Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Okay, well, so we have some work to do to follow through on these. So do we want to double check some of these that we're not sure about? Or do we want to go ahead and make these appointments and then double check? We could go either way. I don't think it matters that much.
It doesn't, I mean, I know the ones that are confirmed, we can appoint now. Because they're gonna have to reorganize some of those groups.
Did I note that
Yes.
on there? Did I note the ones that were actually confirmed on there? I don't think I did.
You didn't note them for us on the list, no. So,
Maybe we can
So,
wait till the next meeting.
why don't we? Table it and
Yep.
we'll double check with some of these folks, make sure we can go through it for the other thing we could talk about is whether we do perhaps get rid of a couple more of these, such as maybe even Weir of Coal and, but I don't know whether we want to. It's hard, you know, they're nice traditions, but you know.
Wayne was very insistent that
He stays on, yeah, no, he's like that, and he's been very good at it, he never complains. Phone calls in the middle of the night that never happen, and, you know, he's very good at it.
Holy shit.
Exactly, he's always there when we need a Weir of Coal. All right, so we'll wait until next time and try and fill in a little bit more of it, sounds good. All right,
What about this one though? That one should be,
you aren't already appointed, we would be appointing you.
it's an annual reappointment.
Right, okay,
So Alice Mays is
Is not
stepping
doing
down.
it.
She
Yeah.
said if we can find somebody to fill that
Yeah.
second position, that'd be great.
yeah. We should work on that, okay, but you're willing to be appointed for the
Yes.
one, we have done that in the past.
Yeah.
So, why don't we go, is there a meeting in the next couple weeks? Is there, or you wanna just be?
Yeah, there will be in like 2 weeks.
Okay, so why don't we go ahead
They're
and,
asking for that too.
Yeah.
if somebody wanted to make a motion to appoint Karen Astley as our representative to the Wyndham Regional Commission.
I move that we appoint Karen Astley as our representative to the Wyndham Regional Commission.
And I second that.
Good, thank you, moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion,
Is there anyone out there that wants the
All
second
right.
slot?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, the vacancies that we have, for those who are watching and listening, are, we have a vacancy on the Connecticut River Joint Commission. We have a couple vacancies on Conservation Commission, several vacancies on the Energy Committee, one vacancy on the Wyndham Regional Commission as a representative. I think we have a couple vacancies for the Rec Board. And we should probably talk to the school, maybe to the school board folks and just let them know, because
Yeah.
they're the ones who would be more in touch with those.
Activities.
And then also there's an opening on the White Whitney Oversight Committee, so if anybody's looking for something, that's what we have.
Is there information available about what the commitment level is and expectations, et cetera?
Yes,
Okay.
depending on sort of what position you might be interested
On
in.
the town website maybe, or is that too fancy?
No, if you call the office, let us know what you're interested in, or just come down and we can give you an overview.
And also with many of these, it would be, well, with the ones that are larger committees, it would be touching base with somebody who's either on the committee or the chair
Yeah.
of the committee and just saying, what are you looking for and why, and so on and so forth. All right. So we will go back now that Betsy is here. That's quite all right. You know, we just shuffled it a little bit. We didn't have to do anything different. Community award presentation. So we mentioned at town meeting that we were presenting Lisa and Betsy with this year's 28, or well, it's actually last year, I guess, technically, the Community Service Award for 2018. And we just want to recognize how heroic a process the two of you have gone through in order to A, get the store up and running, and B, stick with it and really keep the heart of town going. It's really amazing. And I know that you're looking for others who might be interested in taking that off your hands, and I hope that's evolving. But in the meantime, it's just such a gift to the town to have two people that are doing what you do in order to keep that store going, because it is truly the center of town for us. And as we all see, much of the center of town is no longer with us. The importance of having the general store is really remarkable. And I just always, it's always very noticeable what a gathering place it is, what nice interactions people have, how good your staff and management is at doing what they do. And we just really want to say thank you from the whole town. And so we have, shall I unwrap them? We've been keeping them wrapped because we didn't want them to get scratched, but
They were in bubble wrap.
so we partially unwrapped them, but
It's not a piece of paper, ladies.
something
Without you guys, I wouldn't eat half the time. So
Yes, I think David just said without them he wouldn't eat half the time, and I think that's true for a lot of people. So, Betsy and Lisa, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it.
There you go.
Big nothing.
Right now.
And then I know Sue is gonna come and take a nicer picture at the store, but at least we have that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
And I'd just like to say a couple of other things, and the other pieces of it are thanks to all of the community who come in and make it possible to keep the store open. And I think on behalf of both Lisa and I, we need to also say thank you to our families who hardly recognize us anymore.
Tolerance.
And our staff.
And our staff, yeah.
No, just a remarkable commitment.
Yeah. And again, thank you.
Job well done, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Okay, and now, moving on to Tom Goddard and the local emergency management plan approval. So Tom, do you want to give an overview and go from there?
Yeah, absolutely. That time of year again,
Could you possibly come up here so I can keep flipping that? I really appreciate it.
every year after town meeting, but before May 1st, we have to have, each municipality is required to have their, what was the local emergency operations plan, and now is the local emergency management plan. We need to have those updated, approved by the select board and submitted to the state by May 1st. Last year, this is actually the first year that the new format, and that being the LEMPs, are required. We changed over last year. We were ahead of the curve a little bit. So we changed over the formatting last year successfully. We had to jump through a couple hoops because things had changed a little bit that we weren't in those changes we hadn't been aware of. But we did that. Everything was fine. It was accepted by the state. This year there are very, very few changes to the plan. That being namely people in different positions. We've had some folks in town hall change, some folks in other key places change. So that's all been updated. We've made a few tweaks here and there as we need to, based upon some of that, as well as just things have changed in town a little bit over the last year. So those changes have been made, and the plan's ready for your approval, and then we'll get it submitted to the Wyndham Regional Commission, and they'll forward it to the state.
Sounds good. Good. And you said format really hasn't changed from last year.
That's correct. Format,
Last year.
the format we're in, we used last year for the first time. And again, we were a year ahead of schedule, so, so the format for us hasn't changed at all this year.
Sounds good. Just one comment, so for the most part, for for all of this type of stuff, we depend heavily on Tom in particular, but Tom and all the folks he works with. And Karen, obviously, in close communication with him, but really our role, as I see it, in anything related to this would be primarily to make funds available in the event that we needed it and had those funds available. We don't tend to have a significant sort of on-the-ground role.
Got it.
But if things are going really south, we have to be able to have the flexibility to say, yes, do what you need to do. And beyond that, we really leave it up to Tom and his crew to do what they do. Because they're the ones who study this stuff, work through it, come up with a plan, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a pretty sort of separate role for us, more of a fiscal role than anything else.
Thank you for that. And you're approved up to a certain point, I read the plan, up to $25,000, and then after that.
They can do automatically.
Automatically, and
Exactly.
then after that, they come out.
Correct.
Right,
And,
okay.
you know, it's very, I mean, in my
Per
time,
person.
we've never had to
No,
do
the
anything.
reality is, fortunately, as far as any of us can forecast, it would take something absolutely catastrophic for us to need to front a considerable amount of money.
Right.
Usually that comes after the fact.
I was gonna say.
And then at that point, there's, you know, we obviously work through emergency declarations and so on and so forth. And that way, we are able to recoup some funds that we do expend. But again, typically during the response phase of an event, it's very unlikely that we would have to go that route.
Got it.
Yeah.
Are we involved in the recouping process if something does happen?
Absolutely.
We would be, much as we talked about last week with like grant monies, et cetera, we would be in a similar position most likely to follow, you know, we would be the ones that would be responsible for doing the management end of following up with FEMA, for example.
Right.
Essentially, Tom would do most of the technical stuff and we would be approving that.
Right, during that recovery period, however long that could be, and that could be a day, that could be a year. It could be 3 years for all that matters, but during that time frame, the majority of the work in our setting here would be done by Karen, Alyssa, and myself. Specifically, just with all the records and record keeping that's done, going through all that, making sure everything's all set, and all of that. And then obviously that is brought all to you folks as it's necessary.
And of course, you know, it's all heavily dependent on scale. I mean, you know,
Right.
Irene being the
Yeah.
most notable,
Yeah.
relatively recent event that
Yeah.
many towns had to lean heavily on federal
Yeah.
underwriting for various things. And then same sort of situation primarily, that it goes through the state to the municipalities and then the feds override it. But hopefully, we don't
Not
have to
gonna
worry about that. Put our paper, but, so I would entertain that we adopt the local emergency management plan as presented by Tom.
I move that we adopt the local emergency management plan as presented by Tom Goddard.
And I second that.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the local emergency plan as presented. If there's no further discussion or public comment, then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
Tom, I have 2 questions.
You're welcome to stay, but don't feel like you have to.
Thank you, ladies. And that
Yeah,
right there.
okay. So we'll just catch up on this Friday.
All right, so they approved it, and then I'll.
That's right.
All right.
Can't look like a primary.
And then I'll have Josh sign it, I'll have him.
Okay, that's right.
I'll take that as a no.
All right.
So I'm gone tomorrow, we'll deal with it Friday.
Yeah, I'll be here Friday.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Tom, thanks.
Take care, Tommy.
Here.
Okay, so our next item is municipal.
Yeah.
Is the municipal road Turner Trail, and I believe that might be like at least
I'm Corin
couple.
Kennedy Spielman. And I'm Mary Ellen Bray. And we're just in the beginning processes of research and curiosity of what the heck it would take to get the town to take over the road. And Karen gave us a chunk of information and we had some follow-up questions. And I don't know what the process of getting our questions answered would be. But I could ask them now, or we can.
We got a copy of them, and I can.
Same questions, yeah. We have
Yeah.
no additional questions.
I'm not sure we're gonna be able to answer them
We
all
can answer,
tonight.
we can answer some of them.
Right.
Great.
Much of them will be determined over time, most
Okay.
likely. And, you know, there's, as I think Karen indicated, you know, there's pretty clear statutory steps that need to be taken for a process like this. And as you saw or may have already known, you know, the discussion about the financial implications primarily for the residents of that road are a big question for you all, whether you form sort of a neighborhood association type of thing or something so that you can all be clear about what the implications are.
Great.
And this may be obvious, but you know, the biggest benefit to everybody there would be that if the town, if we were to change it to a class 3 from a class 4, then the town would take over the maintenance of it. So it has to be, the cost that residents would bear in that process would be to bring it to that class 3 level.
Right.
But once it's there and it's been approved by the town, then that maintenance is covered by the town.
Yeah.
So we've done this in a couple different, well, the Warden Road was a very different and quite complicated situation, but not totally dissimilar in how, sort of what the processes were. Meeting House Lane a number of years ago, we looked at whether it would go through back down to Pierce's Lane. And we just clarified, we ended up not going through with that because there weren't enough residents to make it viable, but it was sort of a useful exercise in clarifying what the boundaries of what was trail and what was not, et cetera, because all of that can be pretty vague, as you may have found, or maybe not.
Or we will find.
It really, exactly.
I mean, our baseline assumption is we can't afford that, but it's worth asking the question and doing the discovery.
Well,
Because the nature of the neighborhood has changed,
yes.
which I think makes it more important if it's possible. And for whatever reason, I mean, I've been there for 20 years and lately I've been thinking, you know, what if it was one of those hellish winter days and I fell and broke my ass and needed an ambulance?
Right. Betty
That's
and
not
Bucky
good.
and Dot are now in their set, like they've turned,
Yeah.
the Turners of Turner Trail are
Right.
now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So that's our motive, but we want the logistical is more.
And there's kids on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really it's sort of a different place now. Some of us are gaining white hair, and some of us are having babies. So, you know, both ends of the spectrum. So we're just kind of wondering.
So there's six residences?
Yes.
Is that
I
right?
think it's-
I think it's
There's two of
7.
you here?
Yeah, it was just, we just found out,
Just curious if you're.
yeah, no, we are united. I think we're united. I think there's definitely different socioeconomic levels for sure. But mostly obviously low but as far as I know as of today, because William are the guys at the end, we're all on board and curious. I mean, we have, our family has a backhoe, William has a tractor. There's a piece of where we would be able to do a lot of the work. We've done a lot of tree work on the road, like we'd be able to do a lot of the work to try and supplement the cost. But our first question is just how do we get an estimate of it, of what it would cost? Because I'm talking to,
Sorry, I spoke to Brian.
Okay.
Carlo, and he thought he had quoted that
oh, okay.
Turner Trail at one point through his dad's.
He thought Brian had? He
Brian.
thought he had, or previous to him. I don't remember that.
Through his dad's
Oh, okay,
business.
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was supposed to get me the number today, but I've been really busy and he might have texted me, but so Brian's involved.
Okay, yeah.
Tom Goddard, we all three of us had a talk. this morning about it, and Tom thinks it's, you know, it would serve the fire department
A purpose,
a
yeah.
purpose to have it, you know, maintained, and it's 6 residents out there. On the other end, you have 5 from Old Stage, so there's about 100 yards in between.
Mhm.
But
100 yards that's technically class 4, is that right? Or is it more than?
not connected.
It's
not
Oh, that's not connected at
Yes.
all. I see that. Right, okay.
Power line.
Right.
Because it's significantly more than 100 yards overall
Yeah,
that
it's
would
just
be,
over
that's
half a
class
mile.
4.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
It's just over
yeah.
half a mile to
Yeah.
the
All
last
right,
resident.
yeah.
The other question that what you just brought in this piece of it, with Green Mountain Power doing their updates, are they gonna be doing a bunch of clearing there? I mean, I can call them and get that information, because our power comes through that trail. And my understanding is with their grant, that they're gonna be doing updates to roads that would meet a description like ours, because our power doesn't come from the main road. Our power comes through the trail.
I don't know the
Yeah,
answer.
I'll ask that.
Is that true with Dot and Buffy too? And
Yes, 3 out of 6 of us get power from the trail versus, or actually you don't have power, right? So,
Ann?
I just wanted to make a general comment about the trails in Putney in general. This is a designated trail, not a class 4 road where these houses are located. And the people who initially built there knew that, and that the responsibility of keeping the road in shape for emergency vehicles was their responsibility.
Yes.
And that's been made clear also to certain people on Pierce Trail.
Mhm.
And Meeting House Lane is really Pierce Trail. It just had to be renamed for the 911
Right.
when the houses went in.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to let you know that the tracking program, which has been going on for 6 years, we do have a completed map. And in many spots, it shows that these trails are key wildlife crossings that keep wildlife roads in place. I'm not sure if your section really, is part of that. I know that what you're referring to as the trail, which is the undeveloped section of Turner Trail, is a key wildlife crossing. And there are a number of animals still trying to cross in your area, but that existence of those housings has diminished their capacity to cross there. So they're just being funneled into these little itty-bitty leftovers where they can move from one habitat area to another. And I think at some point, Jens Hilke from Fish and Wildlife he's done a presentation for the trackers, and we also want him to do a presentation for you for just the overview of all of Putney. But I just thought I'd mention that at this point in time.
Thank you.
Yeah, the other, well, I mean, if there's an existing bid from Harlow's, that would give you an idea.
Yeah,
We'd have to be cautious about that, given that Brian is now
right,
our highway
correct.
superintendent. And so I don't know, I mean, that would be an interesting reference number, but the
And how
nature
was
of
it
that
to-
relationship, et cetera, would be very different. The other thing, I know when we were looking at Meeting House that DOT was involved, just because they're the ones who can, who know what the exact specifications, we'd have to involve them at some point, probably.
We have specifications from town level.
We do?
Yes,
Okay.
yep, so they would have to meet those
The-
standards.
The standard,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the 18
what you-
inches of
yeah.
fence
Right, so
around,
the
15
one-
inches of gravel.
And depth of,
Right,
and
right.
Ditches,
width, et cetera, et
drainage.
So there
cetera.
is a
Culvert,
chip on that.
culvert size, et cetera.
that is really detailed, but it doesn't say the width of the road. Is there not a defined width of a road?
Roads are different.
Right, so it would
Each
be,
class is different and
what is it
depends.
for 4? Is that what we'd be moving to, right? Or do we-
No, you'd be moving to class 3.
Oh, 3,
And
sorry, we're
Class
at-
4 would not be, I don't remember, it's a 50-foot right-of-way,
Right,
but that's 25 feet of right-of-way from the center line of the road.
Right. Yeah.
But that doesn't define the width of the,
But that doesn't define the actual width of the road.
no.
No.
Because all of the roads that are, regardless of size, are a minimum of a 50-foot right-of-way. So,
Yeah, I was curious about things like, it would be a dead end, and we have to, what would the turnaround be at the other side, and what's the width, like those things, because we could start doing tree work tomorrow. Like if we're all private owners just talking like, hey, can I cut down some trees? Can I start, like, if it's something that we're really serious about, even if it doesn't end up the town taking it over, it'll improve the condition of the road.
Right.
So we want to be working towards that if we're, but yeah, definitely the turnaround piece, because like we're not talking about going all the way through to Old Stage. That doesn't feel required.
and you aren't talking about that?
Doesn't feel required. I mean, there's no residences there. There's an Old Stage. There's I would talk to anyone on an Old Stage road. I mean, and there's nobody there. And what you brought up feels really important for conservation.
I would guess that Tom's interest in it was related to having it be through. Is that right? Do you know or not?
Both highway and fire department.
Would like it to go through.
It would, for winter maintenance.
Yeah.
It would
Exactly.
serve
Yeah,
Turner Trail.
that's what,
Because it could go
that's what I'm
straight through.
assuming. Yeah,
And it's only like 100 yards.
of that section.
Yes.
Right, so, you know, whether, sort of how that would fit into
Yeah.
the bigger picture
Right, I
financially.
would think there would have to
I
be
don't know.
some kind of arrangement with the people that live there and to develop the park.
What do you have in?
This is just maps of our tracking sections. We have to track, this is yours. That's the aerial view. This is just really rough.
We'd have to look at that too, Josh, because if that is conservation,
Now,
we may not
As it
be
is
able.
now, Turner
Yes.
Trail.
Yes.
South Pine Banks.
Yeah.
This is what they're talking about.
Yeah,
Then we have this not so pretty, not in color map. You're off the wildlife. This white line.
just kick me over
Just
it.
kick you off the board here. So this, coming down this way, am I right?
Yeah.
South Pine Banks, coming this way, this is where the non-occupied section starts, starting
Got it.
right here
Mhm.
and running down like this. Then you get Old Stage Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those two pieces.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this whole section, down to where Old Stage Road starts, is just, you know,
So
like,
this is here.
Oh, yeah, no, we are. No, that didn't make sense. Okay, yeah.
yeah, does that make sense
That's
now?
better. Yeah,
And we're having like 27, 23, 13 crossings a night, like animals in this section that she's talking about where the utility company does some work to maintain the lines, but there are no houses whatsoever.
This is
Well,
I don't know how they would get in there.
that's what I thought at first. But he's probably-
Oh, no, right, no, this is it. This is here.
Yeah, that
This is here.
That's what,
This goes here.
Like that.
There we go.
This is the busy section.
So this is the extension of
This
that.
is, and it's all.
This is from East Pine Brook Road and this is from
And
So this is the section that we're going to improve, and this is the section she's
And then
saying is
this
trails.
goes, the next
That's-
tracking.
oh, okay.
I think that's what we're looking at. Is that right?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. It's been in there for 20 years.
Yeah, well, let's see. Yeah, because this is,
Yeah, they cut it off.
yeah, exactly.
So, thank you.
Well, that's Putney Brook there. So that's looking that way, Old Stage there.
Crazy Google Zoom
I know.
from
Here's,
looking at that one.
Anyway,
It's
yeah.
hard to put
So
them together.
that's
The big-
South
the big
Pine
map.
Banks.
Right,
And there's your Turner Trail. These are houses in Will Square.
Right.
And there's
so it was before my time, but my recollection is that on Warden Road, we were able to, the town was able to get a bond for doing that, which then the residents paid off over time.
That's the stuff of my fantasies.
Which might be possible. You know, just to take that big chunk of money up front so that, and then the Warden Road residents were all assessed an additional payment per year I think it was for 15 years.
So that hasn't been done in the past, 15, okay.
I think.
It was
This is all
75,000.
previous.
75,000.
To do Warden Road.
Yeah, and I don't
Oh, you
know.
have all this,
And
okay.
I
It was
don't know.
75,000 to do Warden, how long was it?
I don't know
It's
how
about
long.
10 years. It's a
But
month.
that was
About a
in
mile.
1997.
You're right.
Okay, so it was $150,000, let's just assume,
Right.
and it was twice as long, so that's a lot less than we were thinking. We were honestly like, is it
You
100,000 or is it $500,000?
They gotta be careful about guessing, because
Oh,
really,
yeah.
you have to be
Really
so
careful.
careful.
So
Yeah.
what would, so Brian has this assessment, doesn't have this assessment, whatever it is there possible to get an updated assessment? Would that be from you or from us?
You would want to talk to contractors.
Okay.
about that.
That's
Okay.
what I wanted to say.
So just contact a road development, they know your specs.
Yeah, Derek does it,
Okay.
Carlos do it.
Okay.
Fitzpatrick.
Teeny tiny bit.
It sounds like the piece that they would need to know is if that does get improved, if it does happen and the town maintains it, then Brian's gotta come up with the width of what kind of road's gotta be built, so that they can
There
tell
has
whoever
to
they're
be,
gonna,
yeah, it has to be a standard based on.
It's statutory, it's statutory, it's not,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
yeah, no.
It's statutory.
Exactly, it's established, so that's why I'm saying
Right.
DOT
Yes.
would, they're the
Yeah.
ones who essentially would sign
Okay.
off on it ultimately. It's culvert size, it's driveway cuts, it's, there's a whole bunch of different
There's a
stuff
sub
involved.
base
so-
and then you get
And
gravel
they,
on top.
right, we got all those, and
Yeah.
then with, they would basically keep it the same, or they would, because that's not, there's no determination
It's gotta
of
be
the
wide
width,
enough for them to
or-
maintain the town truck.
Exactly.
There's gotta be a
So
standard
it's-
somewhere.
Right.
It's gonna be,
gotta
roughly 16 feet probably.
Roughly 16,
I would be my
okay.
guess.
Right.
And then, if you take like Brook Road as an example, there are,
Does it state
cutoffs
how wide
so that
Warden
people,
Road is?
it's almost wide enough for two vehicles to pass, but not
Okay.
really. So
Yeah,
there are some
one-
areas where you widen it out a little bit. So,
Okay.
that's the kind of thing, and actually, the original bid from Harlow's might address that, and/or this information might address that, the basics of it.
Great, if that's something I could, when we find that, if it's legal for you to give it to me, I would love a copy
Oh,
of
yeah,
that.
everything's public
Yeah,
record,
that-
but
Oh, I
if
just
that,
meant because of Brian and Carlos, there was a conflict.
no, that's fine, it's
Oh,
still
okay.
public except my guess is that was private solicited, that
Yes.
bid was
That
privately
wasn't from the
solicited.
town, that
So-
was not from the town. It was
Exactly.
You need to get a
private.
bid,
Yeah.
You need a bid.
You need to
Yes.
get, you need to
Okay,
get
so
your
I'll
bid.
contact him, we'll
Yeah.
get a bid from a company, we'll do that, okay.
Okay, so,
And it looks like this
Not
one
only
from
is that
Board and
your
Road
bid, but it's
petition.
one
current.
related to that.
They're gonna have to petition.
Yeah, you're gonna have to petition the
Right.
town.
Right.
92,
We're kind of
Sorry,
like
hang on a
number.
second, we're trying to listen here.
We want a number before we petition, because if it's like, oh, it's $600,000, it's like, okay, we're gonna put anything through this, thank you.
Right, so the town is not a viable option to do the work, or is it?
No.
Okay,
Is
I
not.
just wanted to clarify about that.
No,
And then,
that having been said though, there probably are components of it, for example, that 100 rough yards, that the town might be interested in
If we're
doing parts, I'm not sure how that would work. That would be, I think the first question from my perspective would be to have, you guys have some idea of a number so that you can, like you said, either say, yes, we're interested in exploring this, or say, no way, it's never gonna happen.
and
and-
sorry.
And then go from there, but.
So for some of these questions, this conversation could go on in fairly lengthy manner. Should we just come down to the town office sometime and have a one-on-one rather than stealing time from the council meeting?
You could
Does that
do
make
that,
it
and
better?
or if there are more general questions that are,
Right, I'm looking through to see.
So the one thing that I think, one of the things, two, what are the questions that we don't know to ask? Right, because seriously, right, learned about that when I built my house. I didn't know that I had to know this, stuff like that. So the next thing is, there are some property abutters that don't have dwellings. That, what do we do about that? do we have to get their permission? If the town decides, yes, we're doing this, is it a de facto, we notify them, or how does that
For
work?
the
Well,
right
there's
of
the
way.
deeded right of way, so we have to widen on the whole, I would imagine, or maybe we could just widen on our side.
Well, you can do things like that, but if it alters the road, you can't necessarily do that. I mean, essentially, the established center line would remain the established center line unless you got variances on that. Because that's, that's why it was where it was. So, if you look at the center line now and say, okay, we're going 25 feet in either direction, much of the time with a right of way, particularly if there either aren't residences on it or if they're not serviced by it, it's basically just a form that people have to sign off on unless somebody has a specific reason for not wanting you to have a right of way.
This is just information. Given that this is an official town trail, does the town currently have a 50-foot right-of-way down the
I
center?
don't think it's 50 for a trail, but we
At one point it
have
was.
the right of way. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we were curious about that too, because it says, what is legal trail efficiently?
Like, we don't even know what
does that
exactly.
mean?
If you go, well, Karen printed some information, but also you can
That's
go,
on here.
if you go to the state site,
Yes.
Okay.
you can look up, all of this is statutory. So you can explore,
The orange book,
there you
it's
go.
right here.
Which is all online. too.
Yes.
And so you can just search questions like that. What's the width of a trail? I think it might
There
be
is no
24
minimum
feet.
width.
There isn't?
Nope.
Oh, no,
No.
okay.
You need.
Contractor would know too, right?
Might.
How wide it should be.
Oh, I don't know.
They'd know what the minimum, I mean, essentially that would be up to Brian to determine a minimum width. But I'm guessing it's already established by statute, I would think, so.
I'm not asking about what the physical width of a trail is. The physical.
The right of way.
I'm wondering if the town doesn't currently have a 50-foot right of way.
I don't think it probably does.
Oh, okay.
Because I think for a trail, it isn't a 50-foot, but I could be wrong, and I think it's. Because if, that 50 foot is basically to allow for vehicles and then power lines, maintenance, et cetera. So if it's a trail, however, we may be entitled as a town to reclaim that because at one point it must have been changed from a class 3 to a class 4 to a trail sometime way back when.
And we do have a file on Old Stage Road, and that actually went all the way through.
Right, exactly. No, that's what I'm
Yes,
saying. So at
yes.
some point, they gave it up as a road.
1955.
And there you go. So,
Sorry.
so, that's the kind of stuff that maybe is neither here nor there, but it would give you some guidelines as to
Right.
what the town could easily reclaim, et cetera. I don't know.
And if we go forward, is there some rationale for us to talk with you folks about fiber optics and things that exist that we also can't get, like internet and things like that? I mean, does that involve you folks at all, or no?
We would talk to providers,
Yes.
right?
Okay,
Yeah.
we have to talk about that because I just had a conversation.
It's a good question.
Well, and it's actually a pertinent question right now because they are exploring connectivity
Right.
all over the place right now. So
Yeah.
you would
That's what I was
wanna,
thinking.
you'd sort of wanna get on a list if you could.
We're gonna come up and put fiber optics.
Are you gonna do a road while you're there?
Come right now, make a coffee. That seems like quite an expansive statement, but they sound quite serious.
The last question that you had, I thought that was important. Oh, I didn't start that one.
I didn't bring my reading
That's
glasses.
fine. So how would, I mean, this is a broad question, but this would obviously increase the value of our property and thus increase our taxes, is the assumption.
Not
Or
necessarily.
the worry.
Or the worry, right?
I don't know. You could check with the listers about
Okay.
that. I don't know the answer to
Okay.
that.
I don't know either. It would encourage development up there.
Right,
Which I'm not a fan of that. That's the one downside for me.
right.
It's a give and take,
Well,
Yeah.
but probably the number of lots isn't gonna change.
There's
for
no-
that,
yeah,
but it
there's-
just
there's-
depends on
there's a house for
It's
10
just
acres
about
already.
through traffic.
Yeah.
So when somebody
Right.
talks about pushing it all the way through again, I think, ooh,
Suddenly,
Maybe
you
not.
would definitely, that would change.
But-
Yeah.
Right.
okay.
And then the other question part of that was, in the Warden Road, do you remember, were there any transfers of sales during that contract? And
I
that
don't
debt
know.
would just transfer with the
Yes.
deed?
That, yeah, exactly. I don't remember whether that happened, but it was
I would
a
assume,
point
but-
that was
Yeah,
part of
I
it
bought on Warden Road
during that
after
time.
the deal was made, and I just started paying that along with the last.
The bond portion.
Yeah.
Right.
So is it make sense for us to schedule, or is it appropriate for us to schedule a private meeting with the select board?
Not with the select board.
Brian
Start with the
and-
manager
Yep.
and
Okay.
communicate
And
with.
maybe Tom.
Okay, once we get all our,
All of us can sit down
So
together.
our next step will be to get a quote.
Yes.
I'll get that to you. If you can get anything from the
I'll talk
from the
to
past,
Brian. Yep, yep.
that would be helpful. And we'll talk to our neighbors. And
The other thing is if, depending on who you would be asking for a quote, you could certainly invite and/or ask Brian to be present at that time, if you're sort of walking through it. I mean, my recommendation would be, you might want to look at it as, really as putting it out to bid.
Right.
What's Brian's last name? Sorry, because Brian.
Harlow.
Harlow.
Oh, it's Harlow. Okay.
You might want to get, for example, 4 contractors there at once and say, let's do a walkthrough, and then, have Brian there present for that. It's a big enough project so that I think you would want
Get
to,
more than one contractor there, so they're all bidding. in
you
front
might
of
want
each
to,
sure, that's good.
Okay.
well, it's just,
Competition.
Right, okay. I'm not asking, I know they're not, I know
It's
they're not
efficiency,
gonna-
your time too, have them all there at the same time.
Exactly.
It's like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good recommendation, all right.
So, are you, our members of property holders in the county of the Hudson's?
They're on there,
Okay.
because they have a right of way, they have to be, yeah.
I never see which ones.
So I'm gonna get the I've talked to all the residents that have residences there, but I haven't talked to the people that don't have
Abutting
right.
land.
So I will go down Pine Banks and get them, and also the Hodsons, which have just a right of way.
Yeah,
And we'll keep in touch, Karen.
sounds good.
Did you have anything else?
I don't think so.
You're not
I think
invited
that
us.
needs to take up
Sounds
more
good.
time here.
Thank you so much, that was
Yeah, thanks,
extensive and
Karen.
That's a
helpful.
list of your
Thank you so
abutters.
much. Oh, wow, that's convenient. Thank you
Talk
so
to me and
much.
I can get you most of what you're looking for.
Yes, thank you
Okay.
so much,
Okay,
Karen.
sounds good.
It might also be worth, that question, for example, about connectivity, it might be worth doing as much of that homework as you can first, because they may say,
Yeah, I'm gonna do
if
this
there's a
stuff
clear
tomorrow.
path, I mean, I would just try and put all your pieces together first, and then, for efficiency, try and get the people there. But, they may say, we need a clear line here, whereas somebody else may say, you don't need a clear line there, and it might be worth contacting GMP to see what their intentions are.
Because they just got
That's
this
true.
grant.
Yeah, they've been trying to get me to give them right away for poles and they haven't. And I don't expect. But maybe now I am.
Well, they're definitely focused on moving poles to roads. So whether they would look at, if there was gonna be an actual road there, whether they would look at relocating poles to be within the right
There's
of
really
way
only
of
a
the
few
road.
poles missing, but.
Yeah, but a few poles for them
Oh,
makes a
yeah,
big
sure.
difference.
Power doesn't go there.
Yeah, so,
So that would be consolidated Green Mountain Power. Any other things I'm missing in utilities?
Is Green Mountain Power own and put the poles in, or is it was done by Fairpoint? They
It
used to do the
depends.
poles,
Right.
It-
And then,
different,
right, so you have to find out who actually
does
is
the poles.
responsible for
We
putting the
pulled
poles
power
in.
there, we didn't, Fairpoint didn't,
Right, okay.
didn't touch it. I was all Green Mountain Power.
it
The
really
poles were already
depends,
in,
because
so-
they,
I had
they're,
two put in and it was Fairpoint.
Okay.
right, no, but it also depends, like, the way they do it is they split it up by both
Yeah.
maintenance and upgrades and installations. So, on any given route, it may be Green Mountain Power that's responsible for planting the poles and communications that are
Right.
responsible for, clearing, et cetera. So they divide it all up, so you want to be in touch with everybody,
Okay,
so.
thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Keep us posted, I'm sure you will.
Yes.
What's that?
Keep us posted.
It's a long school for us.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no, and the other thing that's important to consider in something like this is if you're looking 2 years out, you need to add a significant number to your budget for time passage of money. You know, it's typically for a project of this scale, you're looking at roughly, in an estimate, you're probably adding at least 4% per year for every year that passes in order to keep up with
Yeah.
current pricing, so somewhere in that range. And you might actually, if you have old quotes, you might be able to get an idea based on if you added 4% per year.
I hope
Over
this
the
isn't
time.
2 years if we end up doing it.
I'd
I'd rather
it
not
might.
Vermont time for this.
It's,
I'd like to use some other, do we have time converter for that? Thank you so much.
good luck on that
All right,
one.
thanks, I appreciate it.
See ya.
Thanks for your patience.
All right.
Thank you.
Town manager's report, phase 3 sidewalk update. You had your meeting.
We did, it was a 3-hour pre-construction meeting.
Good. How'd it go?
It went well. So Pathways was here.
Mhm.
Jeff was really good. He was a young engineer who was superb.
Was he involved in the last one or not?
Pathways, yes.
No, I know Pathway.
Yeah.
But, excuse me, but specifically this engineer or just?
No, he's only been, well, maybe, no. He's only been with the company for 3 years. So,
Probably not, yeah.
and then the state, Mark Pickering was
Yep.
here. There was questions, Alice Mays came, and the contractor, Steve Zaluzny, and Dave Clark, his
Mhm.
guy that's gonna be on the project.
Yeah,
So, what has to happen is Zaluzny has to have a traffic plan submitted to the state, has to be approved before anything can get started. So they're working on that now. There is no date yet, start date, but I foresee that happening in the next couple weeks.
and are they likely to be able to fast track that traffic plan reasonably?
Well, Nancy at the state, Mark said she is by the book and by policy.
Right.
So as long as it's complete, they might have to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah,
Kyle Scrocky didn't make the meeting yesterday, but we're gonna try to divert pedestrian traffic down Hilo Biddy. And I spoke to Kyle today, and they may take on another shuttle. So they will be shuttling, adding another, shuttle to the day to get students
just to
into town.
minimize
Yes.
the foot traffic.
But
Yeah.
he knows how important it is.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, it was exciting. It was, we
Good.
went over a lot of things. But the notice to proceed has been signed. So it's up to Steve to get that traffic plan into the state and approved.
and he's looking to sort of get on this as soon as possible, is that
Yes.
his hope?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good,
he'd like to
good.
start clearing and the culvert, extending the culvert, he looked at that. Of course, it's precast,
Yeah.
so he's gonna go with Mitchie
Mhm.
to do that.
They'll precast an extension to it?
Yes.
And then just drop
Yeah.
it in place?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Sounds
So,
good.
yeah, we didn't run into any roadblocks, so it was good.
Good.
Woodblocks on the sidewalk project.
Any sidewalk blocks?
Well,
All right, anything else?
no, I think that's it.
Okay, we'll just take a moment. Doug, I gather you have something for public comment on items not on the agenda. Should we, unless you want to keep moving ahead, is this a good time for Doug?
No, I
to-
think it's a good time for Doug.
Okay, sounds good.
It's not really a comment. It's more a request.
Yeah.
Did you print any of those photographs that
I
I?
have two, and they're kind of fuzzy, but
Oh, okay.
that's the yellow sheet, right?
Yeah.
This tree right here is what we're gonna be discussing.
Okay.
So
So
Tom,
this is looking up the hill, and that's looking, it's looking up the hill also.
Can you orient us? Where are
Yeah. So this is 88 Main Street. It's right next to the treatment plant road.
Uh-huh.
So there's a little wedge that's,
Oh, this is on your property?
this is my property. yeah.
Okay.
That green line is the property line between me and the town.
And the yellow sign is on which side of the?
It's on our property.
So this is you, Doug, and this is,
88 is me.
Okay.
He is Putney.
yeah.
So there's a lot of trees over here that are really, really, really tall. And I asked the question a long time ago if I had the right to cut those trees down to allow sunlight to come into a photovoltaic array that I'm going to put on a lean-to, because my house, the orientation of the house is wrong. So I'm going to build a lean-to that's south-facing.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of huge, really tall trees close to the house, closer to the house, and some shorter trees further from the house, mostly on town property. So the short trees are not in the way because the sun can come right through. But the tall trees, which are mostly on my property, except for that one, this is approximately the property line from the best that I can tell. All of these trees are really, really tall. So what I want to do is take them out and replace them with several, I mean dozens of beech and birch and maple to do the sequestering of carbon that these have done. Because that's the reason for the photovoltaics is to reduce carbon, and this is a way of eliminating carbon is cutting them down. So what I want to do is replace them with trees that will sequester carbon but that one tree is on town property. In fact, I discovered when I was putting this is a sheet that I put on. There's another tree, it might be this one, I'm not sure. There's another tree kind of in that vicinity that may also be on town property that's about the same height. I don't know for sure because I was kind of looking up at it. And,
So this is you right here. Right. 3051, 33.
so these are right along.
This is you, right?
This is me. Yeah. So this property line.
Right there, yeah.
We're talking about a tree that's right there where my fingernail is. Most of the trees, these trees over here I can't do anything about, but I'm gonna have to live with them. They're gonna shade some of the photovoltaics. Photovoltaics are gonna be right along next to the house here. So that one tree is what I need permission to cut.
It's a black locust.
It's probably about 70 or 80 feet tall. They're all about 70 or 80 feet tall, just as a guess. Except the ones that are further away are about 60 feet tall. I mean, there's a definite difference in height. These, where's the treatment plant road? Is it?
Right, it follows right here, it's right there.
Okay. So the trees that are closer to here, over on this side of the property, are not tall enough to be in the way.
On your property? This is your property?
This is my property, but yeah, the
So
trees along over here, I don't.
But the line of sight to the south
They're short.
could be blocked by those
So
trees if they were
the
tall.
sun in the wintertime is over those trees.
Right.
It's the trees that are close in are the taller ones. So I want to take the trees down, plant shorter trees. They'll grow probably, in my lifetime, they might get up to 30 or 40 feet. But I have an acre of land out there. I've cleaned out all the brush. It's now like a park. And so I have some other plans for that, vegetable gardens and whatnot. But the focus of this is to, so I have a window of opportunity right now. The guy who's doing this work is coming tomorrow morning. I wasn't expecting him to come for a couple months. But he wants to do the burning while it's still cold and snowy, and he got a burn permit from Tom, and it seems like the time is right. So I'm rushing down here to ask permission to cut that tree. If you don't give me the permission, we'll talk about it for as long as it takes to resolve that.
Till we do give you permission.
Just keep coming back.
Well, I hate to, I had a CEO who would say, if you want an answer now, it's no.
Exactly. If you want to wait, it might be yes. Yeah.
So if you want it right now, let me think about it. It might be yes later. But so if you want to say no, that's fine with me.
Anybody got an issue with it?
I have no issue with it.
What are you gonna do with the wood?
I do have
So the guy, you probably know Zach Grover Services over in Dummerston. He made a contact with somebody in this area, I think he's north of town, who will take the smaller trees. And he'll use them for fence posts. So he'll buy them from
Locust. Yeah.
And then the larger tree, he can't take the big trees. So the larger trees, there's a fellow, and I don't know the name, he told me this morning, in West Marlboro, or West Brattleboro, in that area,
Yeah.
who will take the larger trees. And Zach has the equipment to haul them for me. And he has the people who are gonna come and cut them. So it's kind of a one-stop shopping. I wanna take advantage of this. So the trees, hopefully will pay for the haulage and, get some revenue for them, and it's gonna cost money to take them down. I'll probably end up spending money, but they will be put to whatever use those kind of trees. I was thinking maybe cutting them and using them for firewood, but I think I'd rather just buy my firewood seasoned.
It'll be mostly seasoned by next year. But,
I don't know, I gotta figure that out.
and it's really just the one tree.
Yeah, that's my question, is the picture doesn't show the top of the tree, so it seems like
I have
there
it on
might be
my
other
phone,
issues
but,
there besides that tree.
I mean, what I think we wouldn't want is for, I'm fine with you cutting a tree or two, but if it suddenly is 15 trees, then that's an issue.
Worst case, it might be 2.
Okay.
Because I was down there this morning, putting this sheet on there for Karen, and I'm looking around and I'm thinking, first I just happened to look up to make sure that was the right tree. From a distance you can tell.
It's hard to tell.
I'm looking,
Yeah.
I'm thinking there's 2 trees side by side, they're the same height.
Yeah,
Now, it doesn't show that tree, maybe it's this one,
yeah.
but this is on my side, so.
Right.
But even if the property line, and this is, I just did this on my phone, so I mean, it's, the way I cited that was, did you go out there and see the,
No, I didn't make it.
I put I paced off from Treatment Plant Road corner, 63 feet, and I put a piece of old cardboard. And I thought, well, that's gonna get blown away, so I looked around, there were some pallets that I have over there. So I took one of the pallets and I kind of put it down the hill so that nobody would steal it. So from down here, you can't see it, but there's a pallet right there. So I can visualize where that was, yeah. And I know where the maple tree is. There's another tree further down the hill, which is the actual corner.
Is
of
a
the property.
marker, yeah.
And it has a fence embedded in it. And there's a couple of trees that have become embedded in this fence. And it kind of lines up. It may not be exactly perfect, I don't know, but that's the best I can figure out. There's not gonna be a dozen trees, it's gonna be 1 or maybe 2.
So you're gonna cut them down, you're gonna pay for the removal, and you're gonna replace them
I'll replace them with
shorter,
little
yeah.
guys, which will grow and grow and grow, and they'll sequester carbon. And to me, cutting down trees is a sin, but some of these are going to have to go eventually because one of them is close enough to fall on my house. So,
Well, and if
Forest
you're-
management
when you-
requires it
exactly,
sometimes.
When you're replacing it. And as far as carbon sequestration is concerned, you might want to consider not burning, but just letting it compost.
I need to talk to him about that. So there's a lot of, Zach has this, it's like a bobcat with a big grinder on the front.
Yeah,
I
some
guess they call it
Yeah.
a brush hog or something. He went around, he just ground, it was just a thicket. You couldn't walk down there. He ground it all up and it's all on the ground.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, leave that, that's good mulch.
Yeah.
And nutrients for the soil.
I think, I need to talk to him about what he thinks he needs to burn. He's not gonna burn the trees, he might burn some of the brush, I don't know.
Which, yeah, I mean, you could just leave it and
I
let it do
agree
its
with you.
thing.
I'm not gonna rake up this mulch. It's
Yeah, no, I mean, either way, you're gonna end up releasing the same amount of carbon over time, but it's a lot slower if you mulch it rather than burn it. So,
No, I know
and it
we're-
doesn't put particulate in the air, which is
No,
potentially.
we're on the same page there.
Either way, none of my
He
business
also,
what you do with
let me
it,
just, this is an aside, has nothing to do with this. He also told me there's a tree on the other side of the house that needs to come down. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, what's wrong with this tree? He says, that's causing a problem. What problem? We need to talk about some of these things. So we've done sort of a walkthrough to see what, what the lay of the land is. But tomorrow is gonna be a real serious, why are we gonna burn this? Why do we need to take that tree down? It's like,
find a low spot, stuff it in.
yeah.
Anyway, have at it as long as you don't have at it
Right.
more than your.
No log
I
trucks.
probably
going
don't
down.
I'd be probably more conservative than
Tell
you.
Dave.
I gotta use the map.
Very good, thank you so much.
All right, Doug, thanks for,
And then, this isn't as totally aside, part of what Zach is doing is going to be doing some excavation for the garage. So I need to bring that information and
Yes.
renew that whole conversation.
Yep,
But I won't be doing that for a while.
yeah, well, just come see me.
Yeah.
He can push stuff around as long as you're not putting foundation in or anything, because you don't, it's not a valid permit, is that what it is? Is there an existing permit for the garage? or
No,
No, no. and
What
it's
we're
on the
gonna be
state
doing-
road. It's complicated, but he's already talked to us.
So what we're doing tomorrow is just clearing brush and
Yeah.
scraggling the little trees.
Getting ready.
Yeah,
So that includes the bank where the garage would be, so we
Yes.
can see what we have to
Yeah.
work with.
And then go from there.
And then
Yeah.
that will also be some nice, beautiful fall foliage trees in there too.
yeah,
Because they won't be big and they'll add color and it'll
Right.
improve the whole scene.
Sounds good.
I'm after fall foliage. I came here for fall foliage.
There you go.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Have a
Okay,
good
see ya.
night.
See ya.
Well, we have a little break. This is the information it's from Hartford and Brattleboro. So this is all of the work that Peter Elwell did on their fair and impartial
Oh.
hiring practices. It's really good. Like, I finally had a chance to sit down and read through it all. It's great.
Yeah.
And then Hartford went in a little bit of a
Hartford,
different...
Vermont.
Yeah,
Yeah.
went in a little bit of a different direction than I think we're looking to go into. I think
Okay.
we're looking more like inclusivity, and they actually did racial inequality. Yeah, no, the Brattleboro did outreach. They've done, this is amazing, their hiring practices, like, we should just steal them. They copy what they're doing. It's really great. It might not,
Well,
I don't know if it'll
we
result
could
in...
ask them if we could have them.
Well,
then we
I
wouldn't have to
asked
steal them.
I tend to look at different towns. and
Yeah.
I take,
Pick and choose a little
Yeah.
bit.
yeah.
I don't
And then I
know.
modify it for Putney.
So I looked, I asked around, and I don't know how many other towns in Vermont have actually done this work yet. I think that
I'll bet the bigger ones have. the smaller.
Burlington has, but Burlington's is
Yeah.
so big that it's
Right.
overwhelming
Yeah.
to look at. So Brattleboro's is a better example, and this is really great.
We're
stuff.
talking, and this is a side note, it's that question that came up before of diversity in employment.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
last week's.
Just some,
I'll
Laura got
You
some
and I should get together.
forward the
policies from
attachments
some
to
other
you,
towns who
and
have
then
done
when
it,
we
and
put
just
some
to look at.
effort
Okay,
into it, we can
thanks.
forward everything to them. And
Okay.
yeah,
Sounds
you want
good.
that paper copies?
Yeah.
I can give
I do,
you some.
here we go.
I love
Folded.
It's official.
The
don't-
I'm a
minutes.
paper
Don't
girl.
mess that up.
I read
I
better
have
when I read off the
Yeah, me
paper.
too.
Yeah, we'll make it,
Okay.
we're moving ahead.
Make it out this when David do this. Today's 25? 7.
Okay, so warrants?
Thank you. Oh, yeah, because we jumped around, didn't we?
Yep, so we're
Okay.
back to warrants.
We can make a motion.
I move that we, oh shucks, I move that we accept and execute the warrants as presented.
And I second that.
Moved and seconded to accept and execute the warrants as presented upon review. And if there's no further discussion, then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Payroll warrant dated March 29, 2019, in the amount of $9,275.08. This includes on-call fire department, highway, and office.
I don't have a pen.
Oh, and the rec is also in there. Rec department.
Oh, well, that would
Yeah, we, not our usual setup.
No, it's just totally.
I got spoiled with the blue pens being put out for us.
I know,
We were behind the eight ball.
it was a crazy day today.
What was that?
I imagine that means you got a lot
We were getting
accomplished.
smacked around.
I wouldn't go that far.
You did pretty good. for
Or at
that.
least held the dam in place.
Yeah, we did that. That's better. And then we have accounts payable dated March 22nd through April 1st, 2019. $67,323.82. I think your cheat sheet is in here somewhere. Somewhere, it's right here. And David, as you noticed, your name is on the warrant
That was
still.
very nice, I felt.
Do you like that? We're still working on your
Somehow.
nameplate, but
What's it say?
And I made that.
That's my name, that's perfectly good. isn't it? We'll do that.
Baby steps.
It's such a change for me.
Get you out of the office.
It's a good change, it's a good change. I'm actually looking forward to not
Having a
feeling like I don't know
Yeah.
anything.
Give it
I
up.
don't know how long that will take, it'll probably take quite a long time.
And then I'd do all by myself.
What's that?
I'd be all by myself then.
Well, I don't think that's true. It's pretty obvious you know more than I do already.
Cargill is salt, I'm assuming?
it is salt, yes.
Okay, and Chapel Tractor, what did we buy?
I can pull that for you. That wasn't the one for service, right?
Yeah, no.
There's Cargill.
You know what?
Yes.
It's 4 after Cargill.
It's not in there.
Why is it not in here?
You know what that is? Can you see that?
Chapel,
What's the amount?
CHAP, 3,109.
I asked you about that one.
Is that the one, so she voided the check but didn't void the invoice? So
No,
it came back out again.
no, I thought that one was 3,900.
Maybe.
39, we have to Green Mountain Power, but
Let me look again. It's been a long day. There we go. Yeah, I questioned that one earlier, but I'm not seeing it in here, so. Unless it's under something else. Keep reviewing.
Never heard of Chapel Tractor.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
Is it
Yeah.
BB chain?
No, that's different.
BB Chain, it's under vendor number BBC.
Yeah, because it used to be BB chain.
So it must be chains for the truck.
Uh-huh. Sorry to hold things up.
You're all right. This is good that you're
Exactly.
questioning.
This is why you're supposed
We've got to check them every once in a while.
No, I'm glad you're doing that, because you should be questioning some of this stuff. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
These things happen, and it's, I think that's it, is it? No, it's consolidated. Credits. I don't think it's in here. If it's BB Chain or,
It's not listed under BB Chain.
nope. And this is all alphabetical order, so I don't know where it could be.
This code is a code for the vendor that, well, for.
But apparently that's
the check.
outdated.
I see. And that's the chain company, I use them, bought chains for my
Yeah.
tractor, they come on the truck, yeah. But, Campbell Tractor Service. And it's $3,000, it's not 300.
Right, yes.
Right.
There was an invoice that was paid twice,
Oh.
so we voided the check, but
And Salmon and Nostrum, this is mostly related to the gravel pit, is that what that is?
that is all gravel pit.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it's not in here.
It's gonna come out.
It's gonna come out.
It's that one again. We voided a check, or Leah voided a check, and then just didn't void the invoice, so the computer pulled it again. If you don't void the invoice, it thinks.
So we already paid this, is that what that
Yes,
is? Okay.
yes.
We've paid it
So,
twice, apparently.
and it was for Brian. gloves.
Lots of gloves.
If you want, I can go,
No, that's fine.
rerun the warrant to sign.
It's primarily chains. J.
Right.
J.
Because the warrant will be the same.
Yeah, no, that's fine. All right, so, but this is voided, so,
Right.
all right. Untitled Chapter, Milford. You want that? All right, that's it for warrants?
Excuse me.
Okay. Other business? Rob, I didn't ask you if you had something, or were you here for a reason? Okay, good, sorry.
Curiosity.
Just checking it out.
You know, it's like you're doing all this work, it seems like you gotta at least have somebody,
Keeping us honest.
Thank you.
you know.
He's the new guy, so keep an eye on him.
Yeah, watch me.
Oh, I know all about that.
It's really why he's here.
Okay,
He
so
wants my little wooden boat.
there, well, that would be it. East Putney Brook Road update.
So I just wanted to update you with Brookside Cottages. They have a planned residential development,
Yeah,
and they will be building 7
this is
units.
what that Act 250,
Yes.
wasn't that Act 250? Yes, yeah.
So as far as East Putney Brook Road, we had spoke, because Westminster would like to close the Westminster side. And we were talking about closing the Putney side, and you had asked if there were any if it was a vast trail.
Right.
So I was not able to confirm that, and I talked to Tom, and I looked online, but there's like no vast
Mapping.
clubs here for mapping. So I couldn't confirm if that's an actual vast trail.
I don't know.
I've known this snowmobile for 15 years. I don't really.
Yeah, it's mostly a walking trail right now.
What is the status of that in terms of, if I may speak, in terms of class 3 or 4? Or,
That one.
It's a class
too-
4.
Yeah,
It is
that
a
one is
class
class 4, so there's a bridge right there too, Robin, that the town has a right of way
Yep.
into that property for the bridge.
Mhm.
And beyond that, we don't maintain any
Right.
part of it but
Yeah.
the bridge, and that's why we kept the right of way.
Is that bridge at Danny's development there, the bridge that Dan Hutchins put in?
I'm not
Just
sure.
past the bridge to Quarry Road. Instead of taking a right on the Quarry Road, you go left into the campground.
Yeah,
And then
yes,
it's the
exactly.
next bridge. It's right there.
It's right
Yeah.
off
Yes.
that property,
Right,
yes.
okay,
And
okay.
it goes right into
Just wanted to locate
Westminster.
myself.
Yeah. So I want to get a hold of Chris Long and John Strunk. And again, this would be, I want to make sure they're not going to develop any part of that property beyond the bridge. Because if we discontinue the road, which we would have to go through the same process, Dave, as what we're going to do with Turner Trail
Mm-hmm,
to reclassify.
got it.
Okay,
Got it.
so Chris Long and John Strunk both asked if we would either maintain,
They're the owners of the
Got it.
property, or the owner of the developer, so I can't remember.
And this property is all on the west side of the brook.
It's the old
Danny
campground.
Hutchins' old campground.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Earl and Danny owned
Yeah.
that, whatever, right. That's a class three road?
four.
No.
So it's up to them to
If
Yes.
bring
they
it
wanna
up to
do
spec.
anything
Yes.
with it.
We don't have to go
Exactly.
through
Yep,
it,
yep.
they have to go through it, and then we would have to
And
inspect it.
they talked to us about working on the section past the bridge, and we,
Got it.
Right,
so for
Yeah.
now, we didn't have an interest in doing that, so.
so at this point, nothing's really moved forward with East Putney Brook Road.
Yeah,
Westminster is still interested in closing their end.
but that doesn't have anything to do with us, really.
Well, it does, because from the Putney side, it goes into their town forest. So Russ would, and the select board would like to see it closed
Aren't there people?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, except to not pass it, it fills the last, I
Right,
think.
yeah, Phil's out there.
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly, closing the road? Does that mean giving it back to the property owners or yielding the right of way?
Well, I don't know whether, they may just be talking about putting a barrier there.
A barrier, just like a.
To prevent vehicle traffic.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Past Phil's.
Because it is a walking and bike trail.
It is.
Although parts of it are basically a creek bed.
Yeah.
So,
Right, but, I mean, there may be.
I see,
you know,
closing it to be
We're
vehicular
always
traffic.
hesitant to throw up, the official term is throwing up a road where we give it up and it goes back to the landowners.
Right.
We're always hesitant to do that in a situation like this because, this actually Turner Trail being a good example, as more houses go in, you start to look at, there are several, well, we don't have several of them, but, again, Meeting House Lane, Pierce's Lane,
right.
once you throw it up, it's gone. We can't then reclaim rights to it.
So we give up the right of way even to it as a trail.
Exactly.
Right,
If we
right.
throw it up.
Yeah.
And anything less than that,
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're not.
if we, right, exactly.
Because it doesn't cost us anything to maintain the right of way.
If we
So why
change
would
it
we
from
keep
a class 3 to a class 4, we don't have to maintain it,
Right.
but we retain our right of way.
So
Correct.
Which is valuable for a road like East Putney Falls Road or
Yeah.
East Putney Brook Road.
Yeah.
That could easily want to be a road again at some point. So it's
So-
better for us to keep it on the books.
Yeah, so we're thinking like a gate, Dave, on each end. So it can be open to, walking and hiking, cross-country skiing, that kind of recreation.
Mhm.
And the owner is okay with that, as long as they're parked below their property and they can walk through.
Got it.
They don't have any issues with that. But it's the vehicles that keep going through there.
And in fact, they can't have an issue with it because it's a town right away.
Because-
Right,
okay.
right.
So you began a conversation by saying there were 7 units or something, or something, what it,
Yeah.
get me up to speed on
So
that.
there's 4 cabins up there already, and there's a main 2-bedroom residence. I think it's 2 bedrooms.
It's a development where the campground was.
Got it.
Yes.
And that's before the end, we maintain it to that point now.
Yes.
Class
Up
3
to the
maintained
campground,
to
yes.
that development, but they're talking about
Not
doing
in-
more development.
Well, they're doing more development off of our right-of-way,
Uh-huh.
so they're gonna build 7 more cabins
Beyond the point we maintain now.
within that development.
Got it.
So it's 52 acres,
Got it.
and those cabins are all gonna be right off of our right-of-way that we don't maintain.
That we don't maintain.
But,
Okay.
so they're gonna upgrade the road for their
Right.
use.
Right.
Okay.
No, not for, well, they're gonna upgrade it to whatever they want to. They're not asking us to take it over.
Okay, I got it. I
So,
understand.
at some
Thank
point in
you.
the future, they
Yeah.
might, but they
Right.
aren't currently.
And Brian does not plow up in there.
Got it.
Right.
We don't sand, if it washes out, we don't put any gravel.
And they're not asking us to do anything at this point.
Well,
They,
they did,
they
but,
asked us if we were interested in doing
Yeah.
I
that.
got it, okay.
Yeah.
But we aren't, because it
No.
adds to our,
And so hence the relevance of Westminster closing the road, because if
Right.
they weren't closing the road, we might think to the future.
yes.
But if they're gonna close the road, that makes it even less likely that we would be interested.
but they're
That's-
not talking about throwing up the road. They're
Right.
talking about putting a physical barrier
Right.
there and just saying,
No motor
BB Road,
vehicles. Yeah.
Got it.
good example.
Yeah.
There's a barrier right past Dorrit's house.
Right. And there used to be one.
And it's
over
a
the
class
top,
4,
past
exactly,
Dominic.
it's class 4, but yeah.
If I remember correctly too, Ann pointed out that trail is
Active.
Yeah.
So it'd be a pented road, basically, gated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a
Yeah.
private road,
Yeah.
and they'll have to have a name if they don't already, because they must already, if there's already 4 units in there.
I'm not sure if they.
But for 911 purposes, there will
I-
have to be, it might,
Yeah, I think you're right, because there's a sign also that says private,
yeah,
so, because remember we challenged that
at
too.
some point, that's right, yeah.
Right,
Is that for Tom to deal with?
Yes.
That's for Tom.
Well, It is in zone, well, it will have been addressed because they had to go through Act 250.
Yes, yeah,
So it will have been addressed in that, so I'm sure that's part of the,
yeah.
I don't,
I need to have a conversation with the property owner, just to see,
where we're at.
yeah.
But they can't, they had at one point a sign that said private, they can't prevent people from going on that trail
Even though, because we have the.
because we have.
Correct, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Wheeler property.
A little slice.
Ann Wheeler, remember, she came,
And I can't remember what where are we at with it? This parcel
You're
is,
gonna
this
look
is
at
Treatment Road. She wants to give this to us.
This is behind the Taurus.
I did go and look
did you?
at it.
And
You know,
what's
it
it
was.
look like? There's a stream right in the
It's,
ravine.
yeah, it's limited utility, but I don't think we would want to, you know, the question is, she wants to just give it to us, exactly. And we talked about that, whether, you know, whether there's usable, it's steep all through here. I mean, if we have a topo map, you know, this is all over the place, like you
Yeah.
said. But I think given its proximity to our treatment plant, we'd be silly not to take it.
It's up to you. I mean.
Is there anything else, is she giving it to us because she?
Because she doesn't want to pay taxes.
Okay.
No,
There's no.
she just doesn't want to pay taxes.
Got
She
it.
wants to be rid of it.
And it was 1,800 a year.
It's of no use to her, exactly.
Got it. And even though we don't look, it doesn't look like it's anything we could use, you know, it would be good to have a curve there.
Probably wouldn't hurt. I mean, one thing we talked about, and you know, I didn't know the bounds of it well enough, you know, potential recycling site or something,
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you know,
There's the value right there. It's approximately $1,800 a year for taxes.
so if we take it over, we wouldn't get the $1,800 a year.
Right.
The question is what she would choose to do with it if we didn't take over.
It's 5.6 acres,
Yeah.
is that right?
Yeah.
That's what's bigger than it looks on the map, huh?
Well, he
Most
said
of it is-
his was, yeah, no, it's pretty good size.
Could it be developed?
Presumably it could be.
How many
Um,
acres was
Is
it?
it small?
5.6.
Is there
Down in
other
there,
stuff that
probably,
would limit?
all the way down.
And
But
there's-
this is really steep and all over the place, but that doesn't prevent people
Is it
from.
landlocked too?
I'm just wondering if it would be better to go to somebody like Wyndham and Regional, Wyndham Regional that could, Wyndham and Windsor, too many. that could-
Well, we can hold it for that purpose if we chose to. It's probably not big enough for them to be interested in, I'm guessing, although,
For housing,
yeah, that's a possibility.
by the wastewater treatment?
Yeah, that's the
Well,
problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this whole thing
Lots of
smacks
people
of,
live there.
it's not like
I thought
pretty,
Curtis's was
very prime
bad.
property because it's blocked from the road to the access to the road and it's water and the wastewater treatment plant. What do we lose for taxes?
$1,800.
$1,800 a year, so.
Yeah, I was thinking towards the front end of the problem, like right in here.
I think it's too steep right there.
Yeah, well, that's why I was asking, is it developed? Could it be developed?
368.
Yeah, I don't know, that would be,
So if we took it, we would likely just be taking it as a buffer.
it'd be nice for recycling if we can make that
Possibly
work, but
recycling.
Yeah,
I
It
think
would be
it'd
a possibility.
perfect.
Is that
Spot.
drive the kind of place we want people to go in and out of all
You can
the
gate
time?
that though,
Yeah, you can, that's true,
yeah,
that's right.
Be open certain hours and not.
yeah.
The biggest limiting factor for that is, I think, that treatment plant road is really a single
Narrow.
lane.
Right, that's what I
So
was
you
wondering.
couldn't have people coming and going.
Well, trucks are going, sludge trucks go down there.
Yeah, but if somebody's coming out,
Right.
you can't, there's nowhere to,
No, it'd be
you know, we'd
one-way
have to.
traffic.
Exactly,
Yeah,
or
right.
we'd have to widen it.
And they come
Is
out
it-
once.
Is there room
every
to
once in a
widen it
while.
with the
Right.
house?
Right, not
Yeah.
like
With this property?
Not every
Sundays
day,
from
right.
9 to
Well, we
3.
own this,
there's
so we could
50
widen it
cars
here.
going right
Yeah,
around there,
better.
right.
Just tell Doug, you know, if he wants any more trees, we'll. Yeah, I think given its proximity to the treatment plant, we, you know, and what we should make sure, and I don't think, is that there's no conditions on it. I mean,
Well,
you know, if we were to,
touch the brook?
well, there might be conditions, but, you know, we don't want to accept it if she's saying you can never sell this in perpetuity.
Her conditions. Right, I got it.
You know, so, I mean, if we hold it as a piece of land, it decreases our tax, it
Right.
decreases the income from tax. But I don't understand how it's $1,800 though. That doesn't seem right to me, but, I'm not second
Yeah,
guessing, I'm
yeah.
just wondering why. Because it showed, total value is 46,000.
When I looked at it today, it was
Shouldn't be quite that
for
much.
2018.
It was $1,800?
Mhm.
Huh. Not, then that wasn't her whole property? Because she owns the adjoining property as well, right?
What's it say?
That was just on here,
What's that say for acreage?
5.6.
Yeah, so it would be that one lot, because it's 5.6 right here. So,
So you're thinking that's 1,800 is high for that?
Seems
many
too high
acres?
for $46,000, I'm not sure what it is, but maybe I'm just not thinking it through right. It's not off by that much, but it shouldn't be that much. Anyway.
so we have to maybe get back to her or, you know, table it and,
Well, I think the question of making sure that it's unconditional.
okay.
And then, I mean, have you talked to Joe or Chris or anybody about this or not?
Joe said he didn't think it would,
Add anything
no, it wouldn't serve the wastewater treatment
in
plant.
any way?
No.
Yeah. No, I mean, it doesn't look like it would necessarily because it's on the other side.
Yeah,
But I think as a possibility for recycling.
because I asked him like if we were to upgrade the treatment plant, and he still didn't think it was good land to do that.
No, it's steep, all in there.
But it is the only land anyone's ever gonna put there.
Exactly.
Then you
Yeah.
might be able to manipulate the land.
I
Yes.
don't know if we can
Yeah.
fill that in, because if there's water running through there, did you notice?
Shouldn't
Josh?
be. I don't think
So
there
the
is.
elevation changes pretty quickly.
It very,
Looks like
yeah, no, it drops
it's
right.
steep because there's trees there.
It's
and
steep from
that's
here
fine.
up, exactly,
Yeah.
that's what, pretty much what it is. And I'm assuming, just because it's odd shaped, that at one point this was a
Yeah,
travelable lane of some sort, but I don't know that to be the case. But
it's a really strange piece of
it's
land.
not a parcel. But, so, conditions,
Yep.
and then, I don't know, go down and have a look, see what you think.
Well, yep. We can cut some logs and throw it on the truck with Doug.
I mean, the problem is, we don't want to be in the habit of just taking undesirable land because somebody else doesn't want it.
Right.
Because then it takes it off the tax roll. But if there's a potential benefit to us, and/or if it's saleable, I'm not sure whether she's tried to market it as an independent parcel
She didn't say.
and whether it's marketable that way.
I can't imagine it's very desirable because of what
It's-
you
it's
said.
not.
But
Yeah.
land, the shape of the land, where it sits,
Right.
the flow of air through there from the treatment plant.
Yeah.
I mean,
And the
it can't-
only-
At no access to the road.
Yeah,
It's-
that's-
Can't be great, can't be.
Yeah. The only access is on our right of way,
Looks
is
at-
what I'm assuming, that's
It
what
does
it looks
look that
like
way.
from
It
the.
must have been
definitely
part of
landlocked.
a bigger piece.
And
Yeah.
I don't think, and treatment plant road is not a public road, I don't think, is it? I mean, we keep it open, but it's not a,
See, there's a housing, I mean, if they wanted it for just a buffer, but,
oh, that's true, because it
Right.
directed, that's the Laura Plant's house.
yes,
So it's a direct abutter.
Right.
That's interesting, actually, that's not a bad idea.
yeah.
I don't know whether that would have any value to them or not.
I wonder if she'd be willing to donate it
To them,
to them.
is there any value in that for us? We'd at least get some
You
tax
get
value out of it.
A little bit.
Probably
Not
wouldn't be
100%,
quite,
but-
exactly, wouldn't be quite that much, but we
Yeah.
get more than
Right.
not having it.
And that's
Well,
the
we
big
should-
house with the columns, the.
Yes,
Exactly,
yes, yep,
That was kind of my thought with Wyndham and Windsor. If it could be
Yeah.
donated to somebody
Right.
else.
Well, this
that
is
would
Wyndham
do-
Windsor.
Yeah,
yeah,
So-
so that would just merge with that
Yeah, I don't know
larger
whether they
lot.
want it or not, I'm not sure whether there's value in it for them, probably not really, but, but they might be willing nonetheless, I don't know. Anyway,
Well, that's a
okay,
question then.
yeah.
I'll talk to Peter.
Okay. Moving right along, Southern Vermont Connectivity Survey.
So I don't want to talk too much about this, but, so we've heard about broadband. We heard about it at town meeting again. We heard about it 2 years ago. We all know what Michael Maricki's trying to do. So up in northern Vermont, broadband is like branching out. And they're doing, how do I want to say, like major like arteries with the broadband, and they're having municipalities connect. So down here, we don't have that luxury. It hasn't reached us yet. So this survey right here, I was gonna propose to put online. Have people respond and see what the response is. In May, BDCC, Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation, they do a summit. They're looking to see who's going to utilize this and what the results are.
Yeah.
So I think this is important if we're looking at diversifying,
Absolutely.
and people are asking for it. So I think a survey is worth
Good idea.
putting out there as a first step.
How would you?
And they issued this survey.
We all worked on it
Yeah.
in the last summit.
Okay,
Nice.
So they had a template, we went over it, we sent our comments back, they revised it. So-
BDCC did.
Yes, yeah,
That's a great idea.
It's a
I didn't
really
get
great
Wi-Fi till
survey.
18 months ago.
yeah.
So how would you get it out to the public? So that
I'm
as
gonna
many.
put it on, so Survey Monkey, a little postcard we can send out like we did for the vote.
Great.
And iPutney, you could probably put it out there on
Would
some
you send it to
Facebook.
everybody?
Well, we could ask the library and the fire department
It's
to push it through their
expensive.
Facebook
Yeah.
pages too.
Yeah.
And-
So put it on the website.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know about postcards. I mean, just the cost involved. It's not cheap to do postcards, but, I mean, it's not
If we want to reach,
certain people. Yeah, no, I'm not saying we
Yeah.
shouldn't do it, I'm just saying we should
Yeah.
think about that. You know, I mean, it's tempting,
what was the cost to put postcards out for the vote? And it was like, what, 500 postcards?
Yeah, so what was a roll? Was
It
it
was-
$20 a roll, and we used 4?
Yeah, so less than $100. It's a 3x5 card.
only
You use the
500, why
labels,
only
you use the
500?
cards, you use.
It was like, it was registered voters only, so
households.
households is,
Of registered
Yeah.
voters.
yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, we have, apartment buildings and,
Right.
those are the
Yeah.
people we want to reach too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with it, I just,
How did, Landmark did a really good job of getting their survey out when they did that.
They put it in certain buildings, the library, town hall, we could do next stage.
Yeah.
I mean, we could photocopy and just put it out
co-op,
there.
general store.
But get the message out there
Or-
that
or-
this is happening.
And some of
Please-
the apartment
Please
buildings-
come to town hall and grab a survey
Yeah,
if you're
Right,
interested.
right, and we could do it that way too.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know how many people would respond to this.
There's also lists, there are email lists that people have for various, there's the
Could we get that from Landmark?
West Hill.
Who did they, where did they get their email list?
The
Like,
school,
can we-
we could probably get the
Can we
school.
get
Put it out through the school newsletter, absolutely.
So we could give this, put it in the school as well. So
Yeah.
there's different locations in town, we
Yeah.
can actually put this out
Yeah,
in.
It'd be good if we came up with a contact plan for the future. Like,
Mhm.
every time we do something like this, we have a plan in place where it goes here, 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 and, this is how we're disseminating the information to the public.
Yeah,
Um,
we're working on emails, having everyone's email, so we can do,
That'd be great.
broadcast.
an email
One-
blast.
Yeah,
Well,
robo
town clerk's
call.
office must have some variation on, or not complete, but
Yeah,
Maybe we
They
could
have done that in the past.
add a question to this, asking them to give us their email.
Well, I was gonna
Right.
add you on your website too.
Yeah,
You know, a contact card, you know, would you like to get news from
Right.
town hall?
Yeah.
Give us your email and you can
Right.
get a newsletter, kind of
Yeah.
like thing.
That'd be great.
But we should only do that if we're actually gonna have a newsletter.
Well, maybe not call it a newsletter, but you know.
So,
information.
Get
Like,
information
yeah.
out.
oh, are
there.
you doing
Yeah.
that too?
I thought that, but I didn't say anything.
Your weekends.
Thank you for
I'm
doing
writing
that.
Yeah.
And I think
It's
we
on
gotta put it
cover
out in
now.
the public places too, because
Yeah.
there are people
There's
who
no
don't
news.
have them yet.
Yeah, exactly.
For the longest
Yeah,
time, I couldn't get
definitely.
anything.
Yeah, all right, all set on that?
Yes.
Good. I don't think we need an executive session, do we?
We
Or do
are. Yeah,
We do?
yeah.
Oh, okay,
We're not gonna make
Um,
any decisions, so,
okay. So,
and I need you to, if you're gonna,
other than that, our,
That's your motion.
yes. Our next meeting date will be April 10th, 5:30, right here. Same bat channel, same bat time, the whole thing.
Same baddie people.
Same bad people. And otherwise, motion to go into executive session?
I move that under Title I, Section 313A2, to discuss the negotiating or securing of real estate purchase or lease options, we go into executive session.
And I second that.
Moved and seconded to enter executive session under Title I, Section 313A. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good, thank you, and we will invite Karen Astley to join us, and we don't need Alyssa. Thank you.
Thanks, Alyssa.